Yeah, hello, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. It's Untethered Live, Politi-tics on a Saturday night. I'm Jake Johnson, your host, and tonight we're getting down. We're getting down on how new lights cast big shadows. And Captain Kamala Harris and Trump knows guns. That's what we're talking about tonight. And, you know, the inevitable whatever. Come on in. Take your shoes off, wiggle your toes, have some coffee. It's going to be a great night. Don't you want to have some coffee and talk about what is going on in the world with old Uncle Jake? If so, go to your pots and get your brew on and pour yourself a nice hot cupper. And if you don't have a cup, you can get one in the description below. I recommend the first one. It's lovely. Also, hit that like button, subscribe, share, support, join, and super chats are available in the chat box if you're interested. And you want to show a little love, I appreciate that very much. Thank you. Patty, you get the gold star. Patty's first in the chat. How are you, Patty? Soph, welcome to the show. Amanda says, here's your gold star. And Amanda, how are you? She says, hi, chat. Good to see y'all. Hi, Jake. How are you tonight? Well lit. That's how I am tonight. Notice anything different? Fab Daddy says, doobie, 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 doo. That's a good song. I like it. Amanda says, hi, Fab. And nice, Jake. Looks good. Thank you. Not a dot in sight. Well, there are, but it's not annoying. Amanda says, Fab Daddy says, hi, Amanda. And Patty says, I'm blessed. You are blessed. You're here. That gets you blessed. Being here gets you blessed. There's Mr. P. What's up, my brother? We were just talking about you last night. Wondering where you had been. Oh, there's a little bit of spots right in this area. And right in the holes of my... but I can adjust that out. That's I can live with that. I couldn't live with the old look like I'm being beamed up. Mr. P, good to see you. How are you, sir? I hope you're well. Amanda says, hi, John. John says, I'm getting ready for the move. Coming up on the 1st, I'm pretty sure. Where are you moving to? As long as it ain't the old folks' home, I guess everything's good, right? Wearing it down. I got that harmonica stuck in my head. Ain't that a great theme song? You're moving 0.3 miles away? I'd stay where I was for that distance of a move there, buddy. Come on in, everybody. Welcome all newcomers, lurkers, people in the shadows. Come on in. Baby, take your shoes off. Come on in. Amanda says, yes, it's way better than before. You don't look like you have a black eye now. I look like I have a black eye before? Why didn't you say something? It's just lighting, you know. You can actually see the color of my eyes now. That's different. In case you guys are wondering, I have new studio lighting. Thanks to Amanda, who sent me some new lights. Thank you very much. And they're beautiful. Oops, I did it again. Sorry. So how are you guys doing? Mr. P says I couldn't help it. They rezoned our apartments, but I got a bit of a crappier place, which is great because I'll save on the rent that way. I hear you. Squatch Stomper's in the house. What's up, Squatch Stomper? He says, yeah, you look like you took a nice hook. I was concerned that you may have gotten into a scrape. Nope, no black eye. I didn't realize I looked like I had a black eye. I do have like purple bags under my eyes because I wear glasses, and that kind of happens when you work in the sun. But I don't have a black eye. And by the way, if I did have a black eye, you should see the other guy. Amanda says, hi, Squatch. Fat Daddy says, why is Trump and the RNC suing the Veteran Affairs in Michigan for offering registration for voting? I would imagine, Fat Daddy, they're not. I would imagine they're suing them for offering registered voting to illegal immigrants. I would imagine that's probably what it is. I'd look into that a little closer if I were you. Amanda said, you're absolutely welcome, Jake. You deserve it, and thank you for what you do for us. And I'm glad you like them. I love them. Thank you very much. They look great. Makes my studio prima fecta. Even got some nice shadows. Bill, good to see you. Soph taking aspirin. Amanda says, hi, Bill. And Bill says, hi, y'all. It's political night, so let's talk politics or religion, whatever floats your boat. Amanda says, hi, Bill. And Amanda says, Soph, take a vitamin. Trump is live currently, you think? Probably. I imagine he's going to be live pretty much every night between now and the election because he's that kind of a workaholic. Salute and good evening, says Whipmaster Hart. Hey, Whipmaster, good to see you, buddy. I think in this new lighting, you can actually make out that this shirt is camouflage. I don't know if you could in the last one. Last time I wore it. I like this shirt, though, because it's very thin. I don't get very hot in the shirt. Breathes. And it shows off my muscles. Amanda says, hi, Whip. Squat Stomper says, I went to the grocery store today. The family in front of me didn't speak a word of English, but paid for their food using food stamp card. Imagine that. I would imagine that's what that lawsuit's all about. Which political song do you like? You know that one that goes, we'll put a boot in your ass, it's the American way. That one. I like that song. Hey, and your cigarette don't have spots either. Nope. It is white, as it's supposed to be. I love the new lighting. Thank you very much. My mustache thanks you. Nice muscles. Look at that. You wish you had an arm like that. That's years of painting. Curious Squirrel, what's up? Curious says, that's where our taxes are going, while those born here are becoming homeless. That would be that would be correct, yes. Sunday, Bloody Sunday. I don't think I've ever heard that, Fab Daddy. I've heard Monday, and just another manic Monday, and come Monday. I don't think I've ever heard a Sunday song, especially a bloody Sunday song. Mikado Fila Velho Dopa. I don't know what that means. Curious Squirrel says, hi, Amanda, Jake, and all of you other beautiful people in the chat. Much love. Mwah. Amanda says, I'm rolling on the floor painting. Sorry. That's what they call it now. Painting. Yes, painting. Lots and lots of painting. Bill says, watch some of the opening ceremony of the Olympics. No, thank you. It is the decline of Western civilization as we speak. And Fab Daddy says, you too. Well, that makes sense. Yeah, Bono's a big raging lefty, so that makes sense. Curious Squirrel says, I don't like Mondays. Just another manic Monday. Mikado says, old man talks about dust. Are you referring to me, Mikado? Because this old man would whip your ass in a minute. I don't care how big a fella you are. Have you ever had your ass whipped before? Squatch Stomper says, Craig Morgan sang, that's what I love about Sunday. I thought that was Saturday. But I guess you got me there, Squatch. Whip says, I believe this food stamp business, if we can fix the qualifications criteria and start building families that are legitimately American, I'm sick of our taxes getting squandered. Well, I would recommend all of you go watch a video that I saw a headline of this afternoon that said, guess where your tax money is going? And if you go watch that video, you'll find out how much of your taxes go where. The Olympics are still a thing, says Squash Stomper? Apparently so. And it is very satanic this year. They even went with the mock depiction of the Last Supper with transvestites and a little kid. And then to just put the icing on the cake, they ended it off with the pale horse riding across the river. The pale horse from the apocalypse, you know, the Bible part. And I don't understand why lefties are so big on recreating things that are in the Bible. I mean, God's already told us about all of this. If you've read the Bible, then you know that it's going to be the world against God. But if you're on the other side of that, I recommend you read ahead a little bit. Mr. P says, Mikado, I've seen you before. Behave your damn self. He has a wrench. So if I was you, I would. No, you don't have a wrench. Why don't you have a wrench? You're supposed to have a wrench. Mikado says, how are you, crazy old man? Well, crazy, yes. Old, no. Man, yes. Amanda says, I like Try That in a Small Town by Jason Aldean. That's a good one, too. Whipmaster says, I can't believe is what I meant to say. I can't believe this food stamp thing. Yeah, I got you. Patty says, they try to divide us with giving the welcome wagon to illegals when McCain versus... Hold on, my chat's jumping around. They try to divide us with giving the welcome wagon to illegals when McLean, Virginia, are the biggest recipients. I Don't Like Mondays is a Monday song from the Boomtown Rats. Okay. Fab Daddy says, great song, Curious Squirrel. Squatch Stomper says, it's like they are asking for a lightning strike. Well, the lightning has already struck, and we're living through the aftermath of it now. Curious Squirrel says, I think so, Fab Daddy. It is a nice song. Amanda says, like, thumbs up, subscribe, share, support, join, and super chats available if you want to show some love to the hard-working man. Fab Daddy says, singer in the Wall movie. Mr. P says, I don't know. LOL. I ain't sweating it. Don't sweat it. Don't sweat the small stuff. Amanda says, I got a wrench and I'll use it. Is Cole here? Hey, Cole Creek Croft is here. What's up, Cole Creek Croft? Good to see you, my friend. Strike from the dark. Amanda says, thanks, Cole, and hi, Cole. I must have missed one. Fab Daddy says, I don't mind being called crazy and old, Amanda. I don't mind it either. It's just inaccurate. I'm really, really old. There's a difference. Amanda says, I see that. I was headed there. You got it. You guys take care of it. Amanda says, he started in on some other crap after that, Fab. Fab says, hi, Cole. And Cole Croft says, yo, Fabs. Mr. P says, I've seen Mikado on a few times the other stream, actually. On a few other streams, actually. Got it. Well, he sounded like a troll. He didn't seem like he wanted to put anything into the conversation, but, you know, you can't win them all. I understand that. Squat Stomper says, I'm not old. I just look and feel old. He said Phil, but I know what he meant. Whipmaster Hart says, I believe we're going to get to see the old double bait and switch. RFK Jr. is going to swoop in and save the dumpstercrats. Oh, Democrats from Kamala. You think so? I don't. I think that the establishment has put their weight behind Kamala Harris, and I think they're going to pull out all the stops, and it will be lucky if she don't win with 95 billion votes. Kind of like Homeboy did last time. Fab Daddy says, I would love that if RFK won. Squat Stomper says, autocorrect is a motherfucker. Fab Daddy says, but, ... Yeah, ain't happening. I don't think it's going to happen either. Dumpstercrats. That's what I thought it said. That's the one drawback of having new lights. They're blinding me. I can't see the chat that well. I'll get used to it, though. Amanda says, anything to get Kamala gone, right? Cold Creek Croft says, Democrats. Yep. Unfortunately, that seems to be the case. That seems to be what's happening there. If you watch things like the opening of the Olympics and the opening of CERN and anywhere else lefties gather, they tend to do satanic things, and I wonder why. I wonder if it's intentional or if they even know they're doing it. But they're doing it. They are single-handedly living out the end of the Bible, all the worst parts. And they're going to see what happens after that. Mr. P says, I'll take RFK over her awkward lying ass any damn day. I agree. I think most people feel that way. Now, what is possible is that you'll see a revolt, an uproar saying, we're not doing the Kamala thing. I hope we see that. But I don't know if we're gonna, because there's a lot of people that are pushing for her right now already. The news is reporting that she's already surpassed Trump in the polls, which is not true because she didn't do anything to get where she's at. So she certainly didn't gain that many votes or delegates or whatever you want to call it. But that being said, that's what they're saying on the news already. It's only been a couple of days. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if you never heard Joe Biden's name again. Amanda says, I saw the best shirt ever today, and it said, when I die, don't let me vote Democrat. And I was laughing so hard. Them damn Demorats, says Sasquatch. Fab Daddy says, I refuse to use the old man accessories on phones. to make the text larger? Nope, just squint harder. That's all you got to do. Cold Creek Croft says Harris won't last past the convention. But how excruciating just to see her face or spew before I can mute or change it. Yeah. That laugh is what's going to get me. Patty says, Kenites. That don't surprise me, Patty. That don't surprise me at all. Squat Stomper says, it's international. They know damn good and well what they are doing. I think so, too. Whipmaster says, it ain't going to matter either way. Either we can have a legitimate election and Trump landslides, or the darkness consumes the country. I like where your head's at, Whipmaster. I agree with you, I think. Amanda says, Kamala diss ad with RuPaul and the trans on the RuPaul show. Kamala just released an ad. She's not black, she's Indian. Well, that's true. Fab Daddy says, DEI, what does it mean? It means delusion, exclusion, and something that starts with an I. Intrusion. Delusion, exclusion, and intrusion. That's what it means. Is there really that many demons roaming the earth? I think, now this is a guess, I don't know, but I think there's about 200 of them. But here's the thing. They have the ability to manipulate areas and bring in things like social contagions and agitators and things like that to cause calamity and pestilence and famine and things like that in areas, which gets people on edge, and then they do the work themselves. That's how the devil works. He tricks you into doing the thing. Mr. P says, oh, well, anyway, she gets the minority votes, or at least the Democrats like to think so. I think the black guys are going to a revolt. I don't think they want nothing to do with Kamala. Cole says, didn't earn it. That's correct, Cole. She did not earn a thing. She was selected, not elected. Yeah, I know what it actually means, Amanda. It's diversity, equity, and inclusion is what it actually means. But that ain't what it means. Mr. P says, I think Trump has the minority 50-50. I think you're probably right about that. Probably a little better now that he got shot. A lot of black guys, like I said the other night, if you listen real close right after that bullet whizzed by his head, there's a quiet moment there. And if you listen real close, you can hear all across the nation the rustling of paper as people are taking their Scarface posters down and putting up Trump posters. Delusional evil idiots, says Whipmaster. Yeah. Curious Squirrel says, you got it, Cole. She didn't earn a thing. Amanda says, I'm sorry, but there is a lot of women in DEI that need to learn how to stay in their own lane. And you know your role. And know their role. This is true. But it's not because they're not capable. It's because everybody has a role to play in this world. And if you understand what yours is, you get a lot further in life. Aubrey, welcome to the show. Aubrey says, I'm so excited for the fact that I get to vote for Trump this election. All right, Aubrey. Cold Creek Croft says, people are using that old WW2 poster of a woman flexing her biceps with the "we can do it." It's disgusting. It's an insult to that war effort and women everywhere. I agree, because that was not their choice, and they met the call and they excelled in what they were made to do. It's not the same thing as what's happening now. That's what you call a very loose understanding of reality. Cold Creek Cross says the image for the cackler, I mean. Are they using that for Kamala? Oh, Jesus. Yeah, that is an insult. Rosie the Riveter said, Rosie the Riveter says, Fab Daddy, I don't know who that is. Cold Creek Cross says, yes, thanks, Fab. Oh, that's the girl's name? Riveter, got it. Like a ribbit, understand. Amanda says, Kamala swallowed her way to the top. Are you saying she's the original Hawk Tuah girl? Like the war Hawk Tuah? Whipmaster says, and it's sad. You got to go to jail and get shot at to gain the demographic of folks you've been helping the most. Shaking my head. It's craziness. Dana, what's up? Dana says, I see coup d'etat. I see coup d'etat in the U.S. Pardon me. This Kamala scam is obvious. Yeah, it is, Dana. Dana says, hi, Amanda Hart. And Mr. P says, join us for Bible study tomorrow night at 8 p.m. and 8:30. Thank you, Mr. P. And please do. All are welcome. And Amanda says, anything with Kamala's face on it is an insult. Cold Creek Cross says, true, Amanda. Very true. Whipmaster says, Amanda, you're awesome. She is awesome. Yeah, the coup d'etat is palpable, and it's very clear that this is Obama making the rounds. I have no doubt that he's pulling the strings on this, and I have no doubt that that's what happened to Joe Biden, because 2 days before he dropped out, he released a tweet saying, let me say this as clear as possible. I have such and such. I've earned my way to the top, basically is what he's saying. I earned all the delegates. I'm the rightful nominee of the America, and I'm staying in the race. That was the main part. I couldn't remember exactly how he worded the other part, but basically he earned the nominees, or he earned the nomination by way of getting delegates. And then the last part is, I'm staying in the race, period. 2 days later, he's gone. So I think that was not his choice. Don't think he wanted to drop out. I don't think he thought he was losing. Everybody else thought he was. Both sides, Democrats and Republicans alike. But he thought he was winning, or had a shot to win. And the next thing you know, here's Kamala, who didn't earn any delegates, didn't go through the voting processes, didn't go to any caucuses, didn't do any debating, and she's just the nominee. That don't seem right. Amanda says, truth, though. Mr. P says, but that next day, 30 Democrats holding office demanded him to step down. Yes, because they got a phone call from Obama, I would imagine. That's my opinion. I don't know if that's true or not, but it looks that way. Amanda says they booted his ass out. Yes, because they wanted to make way for Kamala Harris, because they thought they were going to end up losing this election and that Kamala wouldn't get the chance to be the next president, which is what they're angling for. Dana says they are creating chaos in the U.S. Buckle up, folks, in America. Yes. Well, thank God we have a show like Politi-tics, which derives truth from chaos. That's what we do here. So thank God we have that, because we don't have much else working for us right now. Donald Trump and me. That's terrible. It's terrifying. Patty says, George said no. George Soros said no. Got it. Understood. Mr. P says they knew they had no chance with Biden. You think they knew that? I don't think Biden knew that. Whipmaster says, I don't know why RFK wasn't the first one they went to. I can tell you why. Shaking my head. Obama must not have a good relationship with him. It's more than that. Good night, Mikado. Clooney said no. Oh, okay. And probably Soros. I got you. Yeah, I don't think George Clooney has anything to do with it. As for the RFK thing, RFK is against the vaccines. He's against Big Pharma. And he also has some things to say about the CIA that isn't very savory. So they rigged the election against him just like they did against Bernie Sanders back in the last election where he could not run as a Democrat because all the Democrat delegates went to the other party. In that case was Joe Biden. In this case is now Kamala Harris. But they made it so he couldn't run as a Democrat, which is why he went independent. But the problem is an independent ain't going to get no more than 10% of the vote ever. So they're not ever going to win, just like a Libertarian Party only gets like 5 to 8% of the vote, and the Green Party only gets like 1% of the vote, which is why none of them are ever going to win. It's a two-party system, and they got it locked. And also, if RFK would have ran alongside of Joe Biden, then that would be taking votes away from Joe Biden to put to RFK, which means Trump would win. See how that works? With all the votes going to one candidate, then it's 50-50 against the right and the left. But if you got two people running in each race, those votes are divided and it makes it harder to win. So that's why. Anyway, I hope that helps. Fab Daddy says because RFK don't back the wealthy. True. Mr. P says I only see some of Dana's messages. I don't know. We've talked about missing messages before. You read them for me. I will read all of them that I come in contact with, but make sure you're on live chat and not top chat because that will make some things disappear. And I hadn't noticed anything that Dana has said that hadn't come through. But that being said, there are certain things that you can say that YouTube will yank. They won't even let it be shown. You'll have to figure out a way to reword it to get it to be said. That ain't nothing I'm doing. That's YouTube. They were doing that hard the night Trump got shot. You couldn't even talk about it. They'd yank your texts. Amanda says, Mikado, you didn't learn the first time. Whipmaster says, that's right. Duh. LOL, my bad. By the way, if you hadn't heard of the new Facebook page for Untethered Live, the link is in the chat. Go by and check it out. You gotta, share pictures and videos and chat amongst yourselves and get to know each other and keep up with all things Untethered Live Universe right there on the new Facebook page for Untethered Live. There's the link. Pardon me. I am getting over the laryngitis thing and it's all coming up at one time. Amanda says, make sure you're on all messages or live chat, John. Yes. John says, I am Amanda, first thing I checked. It's okay. Well, I hope that we can figure that out because I don't like people not being able to say what they think. Fab Daddy says Elon Musk is not giving $45 million a month. Called Washington Post on it. That's the Washington Journal. Yeah. He never said he was. They said he was. What he said, he was backing President Trump 100% and that he was going to donate $45 million to things that benefit Trump. Nobody ever said anything about it being a monthly thing. But it wouldn't hurt my feelings if he did. Patty says Clooney would not give up fundraiser money to Biden. Well, I don't blame him because Biden can't win. Bill says Kamala could be president any day. It's scary, this election. It's going to have some hanky-panky in it. Yes, it is. Some fuckery. Amanda says, right, Fab? But Elon is donating a substantial amount to Trump still. Cold Creek Croft says, wow, I noticed you talking about comments and I sure don't see. Oh, I noticed you talking about comments that I sure don't see. I changed it to live chat and yeah, many showed up that were auto-censored. See? I don't know why they do that. I guess that's their way of controlling the narrative, but It ain't going to stop me because I have a microphone. They're going to have to bleep me out. Whipmaster says, I figured him running independent would hurt the left more than the right. But you're right. RFK is pulling more votes from the right in reality. He is. But if he'd have been running on a Democrat ticket, those votes would be being pulled from Joe Biden. And they didn't want that. RFK in the race is actually hurting Trump because all of those votes would go to Trump if RFK wasn't there. Unfortunately, that's the system. It has nothing to do with whether or not I like RFK or whether he should run as president. If he wants to run for president, he needs to run as a Republican next time. Because the Democrats don't want him. Doesn't matter if he's been a lifelong Democrat. They don't want him because he's got too much common sense. Amanda says, John, are you on a phone? And if so, is it an Android or an Apple? Ooh, might be an Apple. Cole says, Bill, that's for damn sure. Andrew Langlois, hey, buddy, good to see you. Long time no see. How you doing? I like that J-tag you got sporting there. It's all green and stuff. You've been a member for 4 months now. How about finding ways to benefit the American people instead? I agree. What are you referring to, actually? And Amanda says, hi, Andrew. Pardon me. Amanda says, oh, I read that one. Mr. P says, I had to switch it to all messages under the 3 dots. And now I see your messages. Okay, well, you got it now. Fab Daddy says, I'm on Apple, and I didn't see some of Dana's comments. Well, Dana, please re-comment what you're saying there because I don't want you missing out. If you said something, I want to see it. Fab Daddy says, I read that one. Amanda says, good, John. Cold Creek Cross says, Whipmaster Hart, this is your channel. Y'all go show him some love. Dana says, America mentality is very competitive. It is about win or lose, like sports. I see things differently, which is a question, right or wrong. I agree with you, Dana. I wish it was more like that here. But no, they win at all costs. Doesn't matter if it's right or wrong. Amanda says, it's Apple thing. I don't know why Apple phones do that. I don't either. Mr. P. Hart, says Dana. Fab Daddy says, not all RFK voters would go to Trump. I didn't say they would. I said those votes as a whole would go to Trump. But surely there are some that would vote for Biden in the absence of RFK. But the majority of them would go to Trump. Because right now he's siphoning votes from Trump, which is what I was talking about in reference to that. Mr. P says, hiya, Dana, I see you. Hart, back at you. Cold Creek Croft says, I'm on a laptop. I avoided smartphones all my life. Now you kids, get off my lawn. Love always says 2 Corinthians 12:9, my grace is sufficient for you. Yes, it is. Andrew says, I think that Kamala in the race would be the lesser of 2 great evils. She supported Arnold, as California governor, when he was running. Well, I don't see Trump as an evil, so. Unless you're talking about Biden and Obama or whoever else they get to run in that place, like the current governor of California, whatever his name is, I can't remember it right off the top of my head. Sleazy guy, big Cheshire cat grin. You know who I'm talking about. Amanda says, LOL Cole. Mr. P says, I'm Android forever. I tried Apple and gave it away. Wow. Yeah, I don't care for Apple products. I'm using a Mac, but it's a 20-year-old Mac, and it has all the old stuff on it. I don't like the new products. I don't like anything that has come out since Steve Jobs died, because at least that man knew how to put a product together. Amanda says, hi, love always. Amanda says, I hear you, John. I'm Android 100% too. Amanda says, LOL, Jake, it wasn't me. It wasn't you what? Andrew says, they both support workers of the disabled. So does Trump. I don't know what you're saying there. Fab Daddy says, I never trespass on Cold Creek Cross lawn. He shot rock salt at us. He shoots rock salt at us if you trespass on his lawn. Well, he should. It's his lawn. Cold Creek Cross says, number one, too expensive. Number two, too tempting. Afraid I'd become glued to a screen like all in public these days. Number three, I'd lose or break it in a week or both. Guaranteed. Well, you're Gavin Newsom. Thank you, love always. You're absolutely right, Cold Creek Croft. I have broken a couple myself. And I don't particularly care for the smartphone thing, but I use it because I'm hip. But I don't like it that much. And I miss the days. I don't see anything wrong with having a computer or a laptop or a phone. I don't need them all in one thing. Cold Creek Croft says, no, I don't. At least since I've hired a couple of security porcupines. They're rather slow, but they're intimidating. And if they have the time to catch up, they'll poke you with one of those quills. Fab Daddy says, I see all comments in landscape. Lives just not during vertical. That's weird. Well, I hope you guys can figure that out. Andrew says, Gavin Newsom is the current governor of California. That's who I was trying to talk about. He is the nephew of Kamala Harris still, is he? I didn't know that, but that does not surprise me. If you'll look very closely, all of the current politicians on that side are related. All of them. Some of them on this side are related to them. It's really weird. And they're all related to King George, oddly enough. Kind of makes you wonder. I don't like his methods as governor, though. Yeah, you ought to see what he's doing today. Cold Creek Croft says, love always. Here's your channel. Y'all show Love Always some love. Amanda says, you phone Jake. Don't phone me. Mr. P says, hi, Love Always, Andrew and Fab Daddy and Cole. And Dana says, the California governor is Gavin Newsom. Thank you. Thank you, Dana. Whipmaster says, absolutely. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. Trump has been a powerful man for decades. He's either doing it for the right reasons or he is the best doggone actor on the planet. Well, I will tell you a few things that I know about Donald Trump. Number one, he's very generous. I've seen that with my own eyes without it being a publicity stunt, meaning he didn't know anybody was looking. Number two, he is the only president in modern history that did not take a paycheck for being president. He donated that money back to the government, and he put it into places where he thought it could help. Number three, I've seen him pray when he didn't think anybody was filming him. That's important. I know the news tries to paint him as a guy that doesn't know about religion, doesn't read the Bible, doesn't care about God. He really does believe in God. I don't know to what extent, but he really does pray. I've seen it happen. All of those things combined, I would say the majority of what bad things that people say about Trump came from our media, not from anything he actually did. Andrew says, my phone is a Hello Moto G Android. My phone's an Android too. Andrew says, I do like to use a Dell laptop, though. I prefer to use my computer at home at my desk, but I do have a laptop. It's on my desk beside my bed, and I do have a smartphone. It's on my desk beside my studio. And I don't like using it when I'm out in the world, unless I have to. Cold Creek Croft says, Mr. Pete, aye. Curious Squirrel says, I have a phone to take with me when I drive for emergencies, but it is always off, right? I don't go that far. I leave mine on, but I don't spend all day looking at it. And also, and this is something you young kids need to hear, when you sit down to eat dinner with your friends, put your damn phone down. Connect with the person you're sitting with. They're right there. You don't have to text them. I don't like that. Amanda says, I want the new Samsung Fold Z5 phone. They are awesome. Fab Daddy says, he is the nephew of Pelosi, not Kamala Harris. I didn't know that either. Cold Creek Croft says, Newsom is the nephew of Nancy Pelosi? Well, that was a statement, not a question. Sorry. Newsom is the nephew of Nancy Pelosi. Love always says, yeah. I'm not seeing a lot of comments for some reason. How do you know? Love always. How do you know you're not seeing comments? If you didn't see them, how do you know they were there? Dana says, Gavin Newsom's ex-wife, Kimberly Guilfoyle, is that... Really? I did not know that. Kimberly Guilfoyle is married to Donald Trump Jr. now. Or is getting married to him. I think they're already married, but I'm not sure. She's the girlfriend of Donald Trump Jr. Yep. A on one family. Yeah, right. Kimberly Guilfoyle. I did not know she was dating Gavin Newsom. That's weird. That's a weird switch, by the way. Talk about jumping the fence. Amanda says, oh, geez, it wasn't me on your phone this time, silly. Oh, the phone. Yeah, I got you. I see what you're saying. Love always says, thank you, friends. I cannot see your messages. Sorry for not responding. I haven't seen anybody send you a message. But, you know, if they do, I'll read it. Mr. P says, click the 3 dots and then scroll down to chat filter and adjust it to show all messages. That's how you do it. Click the 3 dots, scroll down. Amanda says, Mikado, you will go out just as fast as you have twice now. Watch what you say. Which I did not see because it was deleted. Mr. P says, love might help you. Fab Daddy says, and while there, hit the like button. That's right. You might as well hit the like button while you're doing all that. Bill says, I came into the 21st century kicking and screaming. Technology has been a challenge for me. I hear you, Bill. I hear you. Fortunately for me, I grew up in the 80s, so I was there at the inception of all this technology, so it kind of is easier for me to fall into. Not that I had an easy time adjusting to it, but I was just there when it was conceived, so it was easier for me to grasp. But I still have that old mentality, too. I'd rather we still had payphones. That's how I feel about it. Amanda says, and you won't be back now, Mikado. See ya. So I guess you learned your lesson there, buddy. Snooze, you lose. Mr. P says, I used to suffer with all these gadgets and gizmos, and I'm getting pretty good now. You go, Mr. P. Bill says, I can't fix anything unless it's made out of wood. Are you a good woodsman? How good? Are you like a finisher good, or are you like a rough builder good? Fab Daddy says, that's a lot of seconds. 86K equals how many minutes? Math hurts my brain. I have no idea what you're talking about. Love always says, Jake, because you read that people were telling me hello, but I could not see the messages. Oh. Well, I'm glad you heard me say them. Everybody that said hello to Love Always, she says hi back. Patty says Gavin was the mayor of San Francisco. Yeah. Then he became the governor of all of California. And so he destroyed the city, and now he's destroying the state. And if he has his way about it, he'll destroy the country. So don't vote for Gavin Newsom. Whipmaster says, the lack of humility in the younger generation is disheartening, to say the least. It's all due to the addiction to technology. As much as I, too, enjoy YouTube, I believe social media is the devil. I don't believe it is the devil. I believe the devil owns it, though. Which is why I'm on it. Somebody needs to be saying something that's true on this platform and others, which is why I'm here. Mr. P says, and the lack of intelligence, too. Patty says, she was married to Gavin. Oof. When Kimberly Guilfoyle was married to Gavin, he was the governor of San Francisco. Got it. Dana says, she was Gavin Newsom's wife and now about to be Donald Trump's wife. Yes, yes, all in one family, right? Amanda says, LOL, yes, give me a pager and drive around looking for a payphone. I miss those days. Me too. And got along just fine without all of the convenience at my fingertips. Now, I remember the early days when the internet was the superhighway on the web, you know, the web superhighway. Remember that? It was like the wild, wild west for like 5 years. And then they started introducing rules. And the more rules they put on it, the less free it got. And now, it's not even the internet anymore. I think the internet's dead, personally. In fact, here's a little trick you can try for yourself. Do you remember back in the day when you used to be able to go onto a search engine and search for something and then get thousands of hits of things across the world? You could take your pick. Do it now. Go to Google, type in anything, look at the number that it spits out, how many hits you got, and write that number down. It's a big number. It's like millions. But then actually call their bluff and go down the page and click on every link. And do it. Go to page 2 and click on every link. Go to page 3, click on every link. This will take you a while, but I've done it. Trust me. You'll get to about page 4, and then it'll stop. All the links will stop working. Or they'll be the same thing you've seen over and over and over again. The internet is dead. There is no place to go anymore unless Google owns it, unless it is a preferred site. You'll never get Joe Schmo's random site in a search engine ever again. Mr. P says, Amanda, I was literally just talking about that earlier today. Amanda says, right, John, and this generation will never know what it's like to buy AOL CDs for online times. Or the sound of that modem. Remember that? By the way, I speak modem because I was an internet guru back in those days. I know exactly what those noises mean and how to answer them. Patty Donahue says, Roger Welko. Who's Roger Welko, Patty? Name sounds familiar, but I don't know who that is. Amanda says, or to have to dial up when you got a phone call and get kicked offline, right? Or even worse, to try to look at porn over dial-up. The pictures, you forget about video. It's not going to happen. A picture would take 2 hours to download, and it would download one line at a time, and you'd be finished before it ever got to the breasts. Talk about frustrating. Tell me I'm wrong, fellas. Oh, she's got nice hair. Oh, look at the eyes. Look at that. Oh, never mind. Mr. P says, wow, I forgot about that, Amanda. Ha, 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 ha. I had the CD key on it. Oh, yeah. Cold Creek Croft says, I recall using DOS prompts via phone line to see the first state bulletin boards with weather on it or something. Yeah, I used to own a bulletin board, a BBS. That was the day. That was the internet. That's when you could call into other people's computers and see what they had on their hard drives in way of a little sort of a web page that was kind of text-based. I missed those days. That was you felt like you were doing something if you operated one of those things. And have the big computer set up on your kitchen table and every papers all around it with your notebooks and all your notes and everything. And 4 o'clock in the morning looking at these green texts and just feeling like you just know the whole universe because you're in somebody else's computer. It was an amazing time to be a computer genius. After that, not so much. Now everything's point and click and there's no power in it anymore. I miss those days. And yes, C:\\go to 10. Or whatever it was. I don't remember now. I still remember some DOS codes, but not very many. Whipmaster says the platform isn't evil as a whole, but because the Lord's good word can be preached on it, like we're doing now. But people nowadays live their whole life on Facebook, TikTok, X, etc. I agree. Fab Daddy says EFF, Electronic Frontier Foundation, tried to get the internet freedom. I don't know what the EFF is, but I know what EFI is, and all hard drives have a little space on them dedicated to EFI. And if you know how to look at a hard drive and see what's on it, you can tell, but you can't erase it and you can't access it. It's for the CIA. All hard drives, all thumb drives, all storage devices have that little spot so that they can hack into your computer when they want to. Not free at all. Curious Squirrel says, my work trusts Google. That won't end well. True. That will not end well. Mr. P says, I used to frequent this e-talk of e-online back then and talk to people across the planet. We had a good time. Yeah, it's hard to do that now. We can still talk to people across the planet, but it's different. It's like this now. It's not like it was before. You can't call China and find somebody to talk to. They have to come see your video like Dana does. Cold Creek Cross says the Stray Cat 2K tried to make friends with a big porcupine last night, rolling in front of it, trying to play. The other cat kept her distance. Probably a smart cat. Porky didn't care, but what a nightmare that could be. Ooh. I've never seen a porcupine other than in a pet shop. I've never seen one in the wild. Patty says, truck driver lingo. Yes, Breaker 19. Got your ears on? Come on back. Yeah, I had a CB2 back in the day. Big old antenna stretched all the way across my pickup truck. Curious Squirrel says, ever wait hours for a video to load to watch it on dial-up? Yes, I have. Bill says, journeyman carpenter, 40 years plus. I hear you. Damn, Bill. That's pretty awesome, man. I'm a journeyman guitar player, 40 years plus. Curious Squirrel says, load. I got you. I knew what you were talking about. Amanda says, and look at today. All we have with the laptop secrets, like 2-finger touchpad, scrolling, or all the other shortcuts. Crazy. Yeah, but you can't do anything with it. It's all nonsense. Oh, that's going to leave a mess. I just knocked over my cigars. Patty says, Roger Welko again. Who's Roger Welko? Oh, my chat jumped. Hang on. Cole Creekcroft says, Bill, respect. I once made a popsicle stick oven mitt holder once. You once made one? About my skill level. Amazed at the 1883 buildings here still standing strong because they were built well. Well, see, nothing is made like it used to be. And that's a problem. That's why in a million years, scientists are going to think when they uncover this civilization that we currently live in, they're going to think that we all worshiped at the double arches, and that was our church. Because that'll about be the only thing that's still there. Cole Quickcroft said, I read that one. Amanda says, or the old days when you waited till after 8 or 9 p.m. to make phone calls because it was free. That's not the older days. Sorry. You're young. Who's Roger Welko? I know the name, but I don't know who it is. Mr. P says, dang, internet cut out. Someone hit the pole down the block. That's not good. I was working as an internet tech support guy while I was in college. And what I would do, my job was to help old people connect to the internet because they didn't know what they were doing. So they would call me and I'd walk them through the process. Well, one old lady called me and she says, I can't get my internet to come on. And I started trying to explain it to her, how to get it to work. And she says, I called the guys out to cut the trees down around my house because I thought they would interfere with the reception. Do you think that's part of the problem? And I was like, lady, here's what I want you to do. Pay close attention. It's very simple instructions. She said, okay. I said, you see the big thing that you got that you call a computer? She says, yes. I said, you see the box it came in? She said, yes. I said, put it back in the box. She said, why? I said, because you need to send that thing back. You don't need to have that. Cut my trees down because it was interfering with the reception of the internet. That's what she thought. That was her mentality. Amazing. Cole Crickcroft says, I saw maybe 3 porcupines on hikes over the years, then dozens out here, sometimes 3 at a time, 2 resident once hanging around close. Wow. Fab Daddy says, journeyman lover, 40 years plus. Yeah. I hear you, Fab Daddy. There goes my voice. That's cigar abuse. It is. I should get in trouble for that. Colin Hill, the middle. What's up, my brother? He says, Jake, will I be able to communicate with my mom in heaven? I answered that question last night, Colin. Do you mean now? Sure. Talk to her. She won't be talking back, but go ahead. Cole Creekcroft says, I wish I had some skills. There's a 1940s welding unit here, and damn, they used it. Rebuilt a GMC for a mobile bale lift. Evidence of heavy metal repairs everywhere. They had to know that stuff. Well, welding is pretty easy. Fixing a welding machine, not so much. Amanda says, hi, Colin. And Patty says, okay, Roger Welko is truck driving lingo. Okay. I didn't know that. I know what Roger means. Is that Roger Welko when you say Roger? Like affirmative? I didn't know that. I learn something new every day, folks. See, I'm not impervious to understanding. For those of you that think I'm a know-it-all, I'm not. Colin says, hi, Amanda. What it is? What's up, brother? What is the meaning of church? Well, I don't know what the actual definition of the word is, but it's a place where people gather in the name of Christ. Let me help you with that. It's a building used for public Christian worship. They came to church with me. It's a verb. It's archaic. Take. A woman who has recently given birth to church for a service of thanksgiving. I don't know why that's there. I don't see etymology of the word anywhere. But it's basically just a place where you go. I'll put it to you this way. What it is. Wherever two or more are gathered in my name, there I shall also be, says Christ. So that is church. Wherever two people are gathered in his name or more, that is church. I hope that helps. Mr. P says, Roger Wilco is a radio response, LOL. That's why it's familiar. I didn't know the Wilco part, but I know what Roger means. Roger, Roger. What's your vector, Victor? Name that movie. Patty, Roger Wilco means I hear you. Cole Crickcroft says, Roger Wilco from WW2, short for Roger, acknowledged I will do. And will do. Got it. I know it means affirmative. Roger means affirmative. I didn't know that Roger Wilco is the guy that gave it that name, but now I know. And knowing is half the battle. I'm such an asshole. Mr. P says, yes, LOL. The Wilco was throwing him off. Ha ha ha. Yes. Because, have you ever heard of the Wilhelm scream? That the two are not related, but he was thrown off too. That was a bad joke, sorry. Fab Daddy says, Wilco is not used in military. Roger, over, or Roger, out. Or Roger, Roger. Colin says, it wasn't me. Or I wasn't here. Yes, you were. Fab Daddy says, I would help you, Cole Creekcroft. Fab Daddy's a welder, aren't you? Seems like I remember you telling me something like that. He probably knows how to work on that stuff. Cole says, Fab Daddy, okay. First, I should plug that thing in and see what it does. No, do not do that. Like explode. All the insulation on the cables are cracked. Looks like some epic potential. However, all bad. Yeah, don't plug that thing in. First, you crack the back of it and look inside of it. Don't touch anything. But if you see anything burnt or broke or bulging, that needs to be replaced before you plug it in. And it being so old, I wouldn't plug it in unless I plugged it into a variac and brought it up really slowly, because if it starts smoking, you can cut it right off. A variac is a potentiometer for electricity, and a potentiometer raises the potential of something that's zero. Leave it in the shed. What it is, what is a double-headed sausage cow killer? You watch your damn mouth. I don't know. Fab Daddy says, sounds like you should invest in a few rolls of electrical tape. Hey, man. Quite a few rolls. Curious says, airplane, LOL. You got it, Curious Squirrel. You nailed it. That's the movie I was quoting a minute ago. Cole Crickcroft says, and the fire extinguisher. Actually, it probably would still work as it looks quality made. It probably would work, but my point is if it's all cracked and bulgy and things aren't where they're supposed to be, it'll probably electrocute you if you touch the side of it or something like that, or catch on fire. But it probably does still work. Colin says, I left when you talked about that before. Well, I'm not in the habit of repeating myself there, Colin, but I'll tell you one more time. Yes, but you probably won't feel the same way you feel now. Muggy Juice is in the house. Should I spray Lysol down my throat to kill COVID? If you wish, won't hurt you. Are you assuming that Trump said that? Is that what you're getting at? Because he didn't say that. Actually, in truth, it was a misunderstanding because what he was talking about actually is a thing that scientists are studying. He just said it in a brash way. And what he was talking about was light, not bleach. He did ask, because bleach has properties that will kill COVID. He did ask, is there a way to do that? But he did not suggest you drink bleach, if that's what you're getting at. Because contrary to popular belief, Donald Trump is not a moron. Amanda says, hi, Muggy. And Muggy says, hi, Amanda and Jake. What's up, buddy? Good to see you. Fab Daddy says, yes, open and clean out first. Dust bad. Yes, dust bad. Spiderwebs bad. All that'll catch on fire. Clean it out. Wrap any cracks up with electrical tape and make sure that if there's any of those round cylinders in there, capacitors, you know what a capacitor looks like? Look at both ends of them, and if they're bulging even a little bit, they're bad. And they hold electricity, so you don't want them to be bad. They need to be replaced. And you can look at anything else like a resistor or a gate or anything like that and see if it's burnt. If it's burnt, it's bad. Replace it. And use a good soldering iron. And replace it with something that looks exactly like it. If it's got little color-coded lines on it, make sure that what you replace it with has the same color-coded lines. Or the same numbers. All that's common sense, though. But, yeah, it probably will work. Mr. P says, I'm a welder, an amateur welder. Never had one fail. I have had some serious boogering to a few, but it all comes out in the grind. Amen. Chip and hammer goes a long way, don't it, Mr. P? I'm a welder, too, by those standards. I can gob some shit on there and it won't come apart, but it might not be pretty. And by the way, I can lay a bead that looks like a roll of nickels laying on its side that way, but I cannot do it that way. But I can do it that way. Like a roll of nickels. Amanda says, that's on you, Muggy. What is? Oh, drinking Lysol? It won't hurt you. It might burn a little bit. You might cough. It won't hurt you. I've drank worse things. Cole says, Roger, Foxtrot, Zulu, milkshake, cleared for approach. If you Foxtrot, Zulu, milkshake, you might not want to approach. You'll probably land on your top. Mr. P says, I learned messing around with my brother's welder as a punk kid. Monkey says, I saw it live. So you know what he said then. You know he wasn't talking about what everybody said he was talking about. Cold Creek Crop says, I can solder. Isn't welding sort of the same except much hotter? Kind of. It's not quite the same, no, because soldering, you're just heating something up, and then you put a little solder on the tip of the gun, which stays on the tip of the gun, and then you put it down, and it kind of melts onto it, and then you pull it away at the right time, and it congeals. Whereas welding, you actually have to go back and forth across the crack and put filler in there, and then fill it up, and then grind it back down, and then put a top pass on it. So it's a little more complicated than soldering. It's closer to sweltering. You know how you swelt? Is that the right word? I can't remember. You know how you do copper pipes where you heat it up with a blowtorch and then use the flux to go around it? I think it's called sweltering. I might be wrong about that, but it's more closer to that than it is soldering. And it is much hotter, by the way. Fab Daddy says rectifier usually goes bad on old welders. Yes. Fab Daddy says look at the windings, and if they're burnt, they're no good. Correct. Any electronic, if it's black, it's no good. Cole says a friend in high school used to take small capacitors to school and DIY tasers. One shot, but will work. Yes, it will. And I've done it to myself a few times. But I doubt he ever used it knowing the guy. Well, probably not, because they're not very effective for actually, incapacitating a bad guy, but it will give him a good shock. Welders have big capacitors, says Fab Daddy. Yeah, that will knock your thing in the dirt. Yes, it will. So don't touch that thing. You look at it, but don't touch it. Mr. P says, same, Jake. Welding takes some magic. It does kind of, yeah. My dad had a couple of photo albums, 2 photo albums, that thick, full of certificates. He could do it all. He could weld underwater. He could weld in outer space. He was certified for everything. And he could draw blueprints from memory. Like, he could draw it on paper, and then somebody else could look at the paper and follow it and build the thing he drew. He was that good. That's the only thing he knew how to do, though. He couldn't do anything else in the way of higher thinking. But he could build a power plant blindfolded. Or, put together a mess of screw pipe or something like that. But he was amazing. It was amazing to watch him weld. He was like an artist, He just get it done. And he taught me how to TIG weld, and I can TIG weld a little bit. I can walk the cup. That's about as good as I can do. That's the only technique I know is walking the cup. But I don't know how to set the machine up, which is why I'm not out TIG welding right now. If I knew how to do that, and if I knew all the temperatures to different metals, I'd go start welding and make lots and lots of money. I can do it, but somebody else has to set it up, if that makes any sense, because I never got that far. Cole Crickcroft says, honestly, I won't touch it. I got enough actual work I should be doing, and burning down the workshop would get me in trouble. Yes, it would. Amanda says, that's cause you're vertically challenged, Jake. LOL, sorry. You left yourself open for that one. Are you calling me short? I might be short, but I explode all over you. Brazing is closer to welding. Thank you, Fab Daddy. What's the word I'm looking for? You know what I'm talking about, like doing copper pipes. Welding actually bonds and combines the metals, right. Whereas soldering just puts metal on top of a wire and holds it to the metal below it. It doesn't actually bond and become the same metal. It's more like metal glue. Dana says, welding. Yeah. You never welded, Dana? Dana's like, what are you talking about? I've never been out of my high-rise apartment. Welding. For sure. I'm just teasing. Curious Squirrel says, sweating. Sweating, that's what it's called. Sweating pipes. Thank you, Curious Squirrel. I couldn't think of that to save my life. Swelting. Sweating. Yeah, I knew there was an S in it. Cold Creek Cross, and I did these pipes in this house. That's the only reason I know how to do it. Cold Creek Cross says, I wish I could give away some of the tons of metal pieces and piles here. All kinds of things, from rods to bars to huge assortments for someone to make use of, or you could take them all to the junk and get money for them. Metal makes good money in some places. Amanda says, I've accidentally tased myself. Can't win them all. Not everybody can be intelligent. It was in my pocket, and I hit the button when I squatted down. It lit me up good. It was funny, though. I bet. Note to self, don't put taser in back pocket. It's probably a good move. Mr. P says, my brother's like that. He drew up plans for making the production line at his plastic plant more efficient. He's a millwright for the U.S. Steel. That's what my dad was a millwright. That's what he called himself anyway. Me, I just got the pipe fitter. I could do that. Mr. P says, that Jake? Yeah. Fab Daddy says, I failed my welding inspector's test. It cost me too much money, $5,000 for that test. Wow, crazy. Well, I've only taken one welding test in my life, and I did fail it. I did great to start off with. He put two clips together, and he said, run a bead. And I said, you got it. And it was beautiful. Looked like a pro did it. He picked up the clip and set it on the side, and he said, run a bead. And I went, and it was just gobbed, all dripping down the sides. I was like, you got a grinder? He goes, no, I can't hire you. So that was it. That was the limit. I am not a welder. Cold Creek Crop says, yep, lots of scrap metal. Too bad the nearest recycling yard is probably over 200 miles away. Well, you get gas money anyway. And only so much I can pile in or on top of the invoice. Patty says, Jake, my dad was a welder as well. He was a union man, local 704 in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Those men are called boomers. Good book, The Bridge. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, Patty. I've never worked on a bridge per se. I did sabotage one time, but I was a little boy, and that's a different story. But I have worked on boilers. Do you know what that is? They're big in big plants. They have what they call a boiler that gets really hot. Because it's called a boiler, that's why. But anyway, you have to fix those things every 6 months or so. So they shut down the plant. It's called a shutdown because that's what they're doing. And then you go in and replace all the metal stuff because corrosion and rust and all of that. So for say 2 months, we work these big 14-hour days or 19-hour days, 7 days a week, that kind of thing, and rebuild the power plant, take out all the bad stuff, put in all new stuff, and then they crank it back up and go again. So I did that for a little while, and that's really, really good money. But you're working all the time, and that's all you do, because you got like 4 hours to sleep, and then you're back at it again. So I'm not man enough for that job. Fab Daddy says, I am certified by an inspector multiple times, but I wanted to be an inspector. Ah, I see. Patty says, the money is good. Yes, it is. Did you ever hear that joke about bridge building? Maybe, but I don't know. I can't think of one. Cole says, another good book is High Steel. It's about skyscraper buildings. I have a book to recommend to you, but I can't see it right now. But it is called The Screwtape Letters by C.S. Lewis, and it is not what you think it's about. Screwtape Letters. Look it up. You'll love it. Boy, it's a slow Saturday night around here on Untethered Live. We usually have 2,000 hits by now. We got 78. Amanda says, I have a brother who builds skyscrapers all by himself. Are we talking Legos or what? Erector set? Mr. P says, build 1,000 bridges and never be called a bridge builder, but suck one. Yeah, I have heard that joke, but it was with a goat. Amanda says, a lot of live streams going on tonight. Yeah, that's probably what it is. I mean, we are at an election cycle, and we got a limited number of people that watch this show, so I'll take what I can get. Super chat or not. LOL, no, he's in the HDIC in Texas. Okay, I was just joking. I have never worked on a high rise before. I have worked on some high places before, welding, pipe fitting and such. But I've never worked on a skyscraper. I've never been in a city that had a skyscraper. I don't count Atlanta being skyscrapers. They're tall buildings, but they're not skyscrapers. I don't think they are anyway. I mean, they might be. I did see some from a distance one time when I drove by Dallas by way of Oklahoma. And at that time, and I don't know if it's the same way now or not, they may have grown up by now, but when I was a little boy, we went to Oklahoma and we went down the road through Texas, across the Panhandle and through Texas. You could look out across the desert and see this little city just plucked right there. And you could see the whole city. It looked like it was just put there in the desert. And my mom told me it was Dallas. So apparently it's grown up since then, but that's what it looked like when I was a boy. Dana says, I was just thinking about how to protect the American border down south. Just put Kamala, Hillary, Newsom, and Yellen, or Newland and Yellen, and Blinken on the border to scare the hell out of the foreign innovators. I think that might work, Dana. Personally, I like one guy's idea. He said that we should put alligators in the Rio Grande by the thousands. That would do it. And then we could balance the budget by charging admission to come watch people try to come across that thing. Mr. P says, I don't know if Pittsburgh buildings qualify as skyscrapers either. Yeah, I don't know. I've never been to New York, so I don't really know what a skyscraper looks like up close. I've seen them on TV, but I've never stood in front of one, so they may be that tall. I don't know. Amanda says he was in Atlanta working for a while, so I'd say yes, there are skyscrapers in Georgia. There might be, I don't know. I picture them being much bigger than the ones in Georgia, though. Curious Squirrel says people are saying there is a massive power outage in Paris. Oh, serves them right. Did you see the opening to the Olympics? I would imagine God's probably a little upset about that. I mean, what with the blasphemy and all. Cold Creek Crop says, I just ate a carrot. Well, congratulations. Voluntarily. Crop check. Not bad. These vegetable things are new to me, but trippy to raise. I got 5 giant plants of a better variety. I gotta go Breaking Bad versus buying it all myself. Hey, if you can grow vegetables and eat them, that's a great job there, Cold Creek Croft. I cannot. I have a black thumb. I can't grow anything. When my mom died, there were potted plants in the house. And I was told all I had to do was water them, so I did. And they all died while I was watering them. Go figure. Amanda says, good. Paris needs to shut down after the opening ceremonies. I agree. Mr. P says, I've been to New York. Those are on another level. That's what I figured, Mr. P. I thought they would be like 3 times what's in Atlanta. 3 times tall. I don't know because I've never seen one, but I just picture, like, when you think of the Empire State Building, it don't look like anything in Atlanta, I would imagine. Or the Sears Towers, which aren't there anymore. They're actually shorter than the ones in Atlanta now, I guess. Too soon? Sorry. Amanda says, yes, they are, John. Curious Girl says, my grandfather was a welder. He built commercial snowplows in northern New York. Cool. That's awesome. Amanda says, LOL, Jake, plants need sun too, not just water. They were by a window. How much sun do they need? Fab Daddy says, if I never weld again, I'll be happy. I'm actually thinking about taking up welding because I need to make more money. And it would be a logical step for me, being that I was a pipe fitter for many years. That's why I got these guns, baby. And by a window rolling on the floor. Come on now. I don't know everything. I'm only smart in one area. Mr. P says, I've only been to the outskirts of Atlanta. I've never been to the city center. I went there when my buddy was in the Army room. Recon. I've been in the heart of Atlanta. I did a showcase there for Curb and Atlantic Records one time. And it was a pretty cool place to visit. I was impressed because I could order a pizza at 4 o'clock in the morning. And they delivered. So that was pretty awesome to me. Cold Creek Croft says, honestly, this bottom land has all the credit. I just plant and water. See? He does it. How come it don't work for me? Last year, I got winter squash over 4 pounds already blooming now. But also, I have 3 times the number of pumpkins cooking like a pumpkin. I like pumpkins. Pumpkins are cool. I don't like eating them, though. Amanda says, yummy pumpkin pie. I don't want your pecan pie either. I am not a pie guy. I know that's information you don't want to have about me, but I'm not a pie guy. Cake, I'll take. Amy Elizabeth, how you doing? Long time no see. I haven't been on in a while. My dad died. I'm sorry, Amy. Well, God bless you and your family, and know that he's with the Lord and that all of his troubles are over. And that's a beautiful thing. Something to celebrate. Fab Daddy says, I like roasted pumpkin seeds and pumpkin pie, but I never tried much else. I don't think you can do a whole lot of other things with pumpkins. You can make those little things that you put on your porch on Halloween. I'm sure that's not what God had in mind, though. Amanda says, hi, Amy. I'm sorry to hear that. Nicole Crickcroft says, and sweet corn, sugar beets, cantaloupes, not those. Now, those are great. Beans, peas, etc. Lots of sunflower seeds, and like roasting them too. Yeah, I'm still waiting on the tomatoes and the purple hull peas that you said you were going to send me. I'd like to have me a bushel of peas. Fab Daddy says, pumpkin soup sounds weird. It does, doesn't it? So does like pumpkin souffle. Manny says, yup, Fab Daddy, pumpkin soup. Yeah. Danny says, Amy Elizabeth, prayers and love all the way around. Curious Squirrel says, sorry for your loss, Amy. Thanks for being here with us. Hugs. Yes. God bless you. Mr. P says, God bless, Amy. Fab Daddy says, pumpkin bread is good, I hear. Yes, it is, but it tastes like banana bread. Amy Elizabeth says, thumbs up and shared. Thank you very much. Appreciate you. Cole says, the last local farmer raising pumpkins passed away years ago. And I'm the only one raising them. Stores can't stock due to the cost of shipping, so I love giving them away, especially to the school and to the adult care home. That's lovely, Cole Creekcroft. I do sell a few, though. I do sell a few through the mercantile, though. Curious Squirrel says pumpkin tarts and cookies. Okay, that might be something you could do with a pumpkin. Now you're talking. Banana bread, says Amanda. That is good. I like banana bread, but it's very fattening, and I have to watch my girly figure. Banana bread. Banana. Zucchini bread. Yep. That's good, too. It tastes like banana bread. So I think you can pretty much make that kind of bread out of anything as long as it has mass, because they all taste the same. But they are good. Like cucumber bread, maybe. That'd be weird. Oh, speaking of weird things, you know what's really good that you wouldn't think is good, but is? Pepper jelly. That's a thing we do around here. I don't know if anybody else does that or not. I don't even know what kind of peppers they use, but it's delicious. It's got a little bite. It's not hot, but it's got a bite. But it's jelly. And it's lovely. If you get a chance to get some, get it. It's delicious. Spaghetti squash is not an alternative to pasta. No, it is not. That would be weird. Cold Creek Cross says, the bush cherries were all toasted last winter. I had freeze, nailed big orchards in the Northwest too. That's a shame. Cherries are very good. Chocolate zucchini bread, says Amy. Chocolate zucchini bread. I've never had that, but I've had zucchini bread. And one time I got a wild hair and I decided to learn how to make pasta from scratch. So I did, and you'd be surprised. It's rather easy to do. And I made a big old pot of spaghetti from scratch. The pasta, the sauce, everything from scratch. And it was good. And that's the only time I've ever done it, but I know how. Fab Daddy says, cherries give me gas. Amy says, dark cherries are good for arthritis. Yes, they are. They're good for gout, too. Amanda says, strawberries. We have delicious ones here. Yeah, you got strawberries the size of my fist in Florida. That's why you have the strawberry festival there. Amy says, pasta is basically eggs, flour, and water. Pretty much. Yep. Egg noodles. That's what I made. Egg noodles. The trick is making pasta. I cheated a little. I made my pasta like little square, like rectangular, flat. I didn't try to roll them because I think you have to have a press to do that. Yep, sweet and juicy, just like me. Cold Creek Croft says, I gave away a rhubarb. You never, ever rub another man's rhubarb. What movie's that? A perennial planted years ago and still yields huge stalks. Beautiful deep red. I gave them to the mercantile. Need to learn to cook these things. I don't know how you cook a rhubarb. I don't even know what you do with a rhubarb. I don't think I've ever put a rhubarb in my mouth because you never rub another man's rhubarb, ever. Homemade beef and noodles. Made that in a while. That sounds delicious, Amy Elizabeth. Rhubarb pie. Is that like pumpkin pie? I'm not even sure what a rhubarb tastes like. Dana says, I like French croissant and baguette bread. Me too. I like it enough to know how to spell it. And I meant pronounce it, not spell it. I like it enough to know how to pronounce it, to say it. Amanda, you got it. Batman, that's it. Never rub another man's rhubarb. Which Batman? Cold Creek Croft says, you disappoint people with rhubarb pie, thinking the strawberry, personally, bugaboo there. Personal bugaboo there. I can't read that. It's got a heart in front of it. Oh, personal bugaboo there. So in other words, you told somebody, have some pie, and they're like, oh, strawberry pie. And they went, oh, it's not strawberry pie. It's rhubarb pie. I got you. Fab Daddy says, San Francisco, the San Francisco treat. Rice-A-Roni has the best sourdough on the planet. What is it with Yankees and sour bread? I don't get it. Or pumpernickel. What is that all about? Somebody tell me what pumpernickel is all about. Not the first Batman. The 1989 Batman. The first Batman was a 48, 49, something like that. Does anybody know what the first Batman year was? It was an actual movie. It was black and white. Now, I think it was 49. I might be wrong. Rhubarb is sour. I've never had one. Thank you, Dana. 1967. Thank you, Amy Elizabeth. 67, I guess. I'm not talking about the one with Adam West now. I'm talking about before that. Well, 89 is the first Batman for me. No, it's not. It's the first Batman you ever saw. The first Batman is the first Batman. That was a guess. Oh, yeah. Fab Daddy says, does Jake have a stash of pemmican? I don't know what pemmican is. Pemmican? Is that like Mexican? I don't know what pemmican is. It seems like I've heard that word before. Oh, no, I'm thinking of persimmon. That's what I'm thinking of. 1940 Batman, thank you. So it was 40, not 49, 40. Survival food, I got you. Is that the, seems like I've heard about this. Is that like, is it made out of meat? And you press it and you kind of like pickle it or something like that, and then you have it in little blocks that you can eat. I think I know what you're talking about. I'm not real sure. It's made with fat nuts and berries. I got you. I'm thinking of something else then. I didn't know about the 1940 Batman, so 89 for me. LOL. Well, there you go. Fat nuts. Yes. Occasionally. Why, yes. Remind you of anyone? It says fat nuts, LOL. These nuts, says Amy. Man, it says rolling on the floor. Fat nuts, good one. Pemmican. Now, I must be thinking of something else. There's a thing that I saw in a survival book where it's like jerky, but it's different. It lasts forever. You just break it off and eat a piece of it. Jake, are you in Fayetteville? No, but I'm pretty close to it. Why, Patty? I know where it's at. It's right over there. Why? I'm reasonably close to it. I'm about 80 miles from Fayetteville. Cole says the sun's going down. Soon will be time for another night patrol. Hunting for these super big wolf spiders, reported here. Their eye shine shows up in the light. Even the tiny ones. Very creepy. Last night counted a bunch of them. Amy says, I have a book called The Lost Ways. Teaches that kind of stuff. Yes. There was a book that a dude on the internet had a big old white beard put out a couple years back. I really would like to get that book because there's a lot of information in it about stuff like that. Like the fact that you can take wild lettuce and make painkiller out of it. Things like that. Things that old people knew that we don't know anymore. We need to start learning things like that again, because if we don't, that information is going to just fall by the wayside and be lost forever. So people like us need to keep that fire ember alive. Fab Daddy says, lots of nuts growing around me. Fat nuts is a great marketing pitch. I agree. Quick Cross says 14 toads on a road. 14 toads on the road. Then had 3 bats swooping at my head and grabbing up the bugs in the headlamp. Very helpful. Dude, you live like a wild man out there. You ought to be taking videos of all this stuff. Get you a nice high-def camera with a big lens on it. Catch all that stuff in slow-mo and macro and make lots of money. People love to see things like that. Spider eyes at night are so cool looking. Amanda, shut up. It's disgusting. That's the one I have, says Amy. The one with the guy with the white beard? Okay. Yeah, that's a good book. I saw some of the stuff that was in it. There's a lot of great stuff in that book. Mr. P says, things that get lost in the cracks of history. Yes. And some of those things like Greek fire we have lost. And that's a shame, because wouldn't you like to know how to make a fire you can't put out? That's pretty interesting. Apparently it was a thing. The Philosopher's Stone is a thing that we've lost. If it ever existed. I don't know that it ever has. I think it was just something they were trying to figure out and just didn't work. But Amy said, Amanda said, why am I keep calling you Amy? Amanda says, raw pecans are good. Yeah, but see, the problem is you say pecans, and I can't know you. We can't be friends. That's a step too far for me. You can't say pecans. You're grown. It's a pecan. Amy says, sticky lettuce. I have some in elixir. Ooh. I want to know how they do this thing. I read about it. It's basically akin to morphine, but you make it out of wild lettuce and you boil it down, and then I guess, take off the surplus or whatever's on the top and keep boiling it, and then pretty soon you got like a jelly, and then that stuff, you can take it medicinally, and it's like taking morphine. I want to know how to make that. So if anybody knows, hit me up. UntetheredLivestream@gmail.com is how you get in touch with me. Cold Creek Croft says, Amanda, another I never knew that. For 62 years. Now I can see them all the time. Very creepy knowing I'm being watched. Even small, tiny ones show up well. Yeah, that's kind of creepy. Israel bombed Lebanon. Is that true, Monkey Juice? Breaking news. Thank you for telling us. I'm going to have to look into that. That ain't good. Do you know any details about why they bombed Lebanon and what happened? Cold Creek Croft says, I do catch it all. Videos for all. Slow-mo bats, close-up giant spiders, about 2 views each. I think YouTube has my number as I get 3 times on Rumble or X. Well, everybody please, somebody put Cold Creek Croft's channel in the chat, and everybody go check him out because he does do some pretty cool stuff over there. He's got my voucher of approval. For whatever that's worth. Amanda says, I'd have a field day out there, Cole. I love critters. No, ma'am. Amy says, the Ark of the Covenant. Well, I can tell you what that was. That hasn't been lost. I can tell you what it was, and I can tell you where it is. Would you like to know? Fab Daddy says, those ladies that collected herbs and had a lot of drying racks and kettle with those herbs boiling were called witches. Some of them were, yeah, at a certain period of time. The word pagan, incidentally, means farmer. Anybody that understands the sky and knows when to plant food is a pagan by the definition of the word. We have since conscripted that word to mean somebody that worships the devil, but not all farmers do that. Curious Squirrel says, now we make those fires with lithium batteries. Right. Mr. P says, they think that napalm kind of sort of some of the principles of Greek fire. Some of it, but you can put out napalm, but you can also make napalm with gasoline and equal parts of frozen orange juice from concentrate. Did you know that? Cold Creek Croft says, Amanda, I love it. So peaceful, pitch dark, quiet. I do carry a sidearm, but no worries, except for rattlesnakes that have come up to bask on the road 10 seconds after I pass. Sorry, my nose is itching. Amanda says, it's a Florida thing. I say roof too. Roof too. Yes, you do say roof. And stop that. They are not used in the word. If you can say Scooby-Dooby-Doo the same way you say roof, then I'll agree with you. Otherwise, don't. I do have standards. I'm just kidding. I don't have any standards. Fab Daddy says reduction. Reduction? What are you talking about? Mr. P says they add gelatin like a substance to napalm. Yep. Amy says I ordered it on eBay from a herbalist. Herbalist. Sorry, my voice is cutting in and out. Patty says I am glad to be here than watching the fear monger. I'd rather be here than watching the fear mongering news. I'm glad you're here too, Patty. I don't fear monger. I will say things that are scary if they're written in the Bible, but I don't fear monger. And I always tell you that even though it's scary, you have a shot. You're not doomed. So I'm glad you're here. Amanda says, man, Cole, I'd be right in my element. I bet he don't mind if you say roof. Was that a low blow? I'm sorry. Mr. P says, at a kid's house, I was staying over as a kid, and a cockroach chased me. And I called my mom and left that same night, LOL. Right? I've seen cockroaches that can jump. Did you know they can jump? I didn't know they could jump, but they can jump. Cole Creekcroft says, thanks, Jake. I didn't mean to sound like I was whining. I didn't take it that way. It is what it is. What an empty life if you live for views like so many who only see value in that stuff. Well, yeah, true. Dana says, Israel will lose. Netanyahu is crossing the line, and he is out of control. I don't know anything about Netanyahu. I was talking about that earlier. The Bible says to back Israel, to be with Israel, but it is not talking about the people that are currently in Israel. It means the 12 tribes of Abraham, not the place. So, I don't know. I don't know what that's all about. I know it ain't none of my business. I know that much. Colt Creekcroft, here's your channel. Thank you, Fab Daddy. I hope that can be sorted out, Dana. I really do. And I hope that they will stop with the warring, because it ain't going to lead to anything good. And by the way, Israel is God's chosen people. But God's chosen people have been against God from day one. They're not good people, and they do make mistakes. We're still supposed to bless them, though, because eventually they will learn who they are and what they're supposed to know. But unfortunately, it's going to be after the end of the world. I don't know. It's a bad situation over there, however you look at it. Root Lady says, Patty. Thank you, Amanda. That's Cole Creekcroft's channel again. Cole Creekcroft says, Fab Daddy, Amanda, thanks. You're welcome, Cole, says Amanda. And Dana says, Mr. P, thumbs up and smiley face. Amy says, waiting for the Ark of the Covenant information. Oh, okay. All right. I don't know if this is true or not, but it makes perfectly biblical sense. According to the things that I've read and the things that I've understood, when Egypt attacked the Jerusalem, one of the things they did was sack the temple. And in Egypt, they have a record of this attack. And along with this record, they have a inventory of everything they took out of the temple during that attack. And everything is there. Candlesticks and the gold and the cups and the bowls and the basins and the bulls, and except the Ark of the Covenant. It's not there. So where did it go? It was in the temple. Where did it go? Well, there is rumor that Jeremiah, the prophet, took the Ark of the Covenant down into the tunnels that were dug previously when they were under attack years ago, so that they could get water into Jerusalem without going through the river on top. It's like underground tunnels. So he went through those tunnels and got out to Jeremiah's grotto, and then built a false wall in that grotto and placed the Ark of the Covenant in it. Now, fast forward a few thousand years, or however long it was, couple, at least 500 years. I don't know exactly where Jeremiah was on the timeline, but fast forward to the time of Christ, and there's a place there called Golgotha, which is the place of the skull, which is an escarpment of rock on top of where Jeremiah's grotto used to be. That's where they crucified Jesus. And then when he was crucified, the blood ran down his feet, down the cross. And remember, at his crucifixion, there was a great earthquake, and there was a split that went from his cross to the temple and then rent the veil from top to bottom, and signifying now everybody can go into God. That's what that meaning of that is, the significance. But that split left a crack in the ground, and Jesus's blood went right through that crack and dripped down onto the mercy seat of the Ark of the Covenant, which is where the sacrificial lamb's blood goes. That's what they do. They sacrifice a lamb, sprinkle blood on the mercy seat. So I don't know if that's a true story or not, but I do know that historically they do build on top of, build on top of, build on top of, rather than clearing off a place and rebuilding. So Jerusalem is like 30 layers thick because they just keep building on top of old ruins. And I do know that Golgotha is in the place of Jeremiah's grotto in that area. So, is it true? I don't know. I have no idea. I have no way of vouching for that, other than it makes biblical sense that Jesus' blood would go on the mercy seat. So it would be under his feet, because that's what you do with a sacrifice. He is the sacrifice, and it being significant that he is the sacrifice, you would think his blood would end up on the mercy seat. So, 30 feet below where Christ was crucified is a cave called Jeremiah's grotto that used to be a grotto, and in there, inside of a false wall, is the Ark of the Covenant. And according to what I've read and what I've learned, that the Israeli military know about it, the government knows about it, the Antiquities Department knows about it, and they don't want it to come out. Why? If you got something of that magnitude, why would you not bring it out to the world? Well, because if the Ark of the Covenant is found, immediately there are 3 religions that go to war, because 3 different groups of people think that that's their artifact and that it is from God. It's an artifact from God that God has touched. So that's world war right there. So no, they don't want that to come out. But it's my belief that the Ark of the Covenant is in Jerusalem, somewhere in the vicinity of where Christ was actually crucified at, not the place that they show tourists, because that's not the Golgotha. That's not Calvary. So maybe that'll help you. Amanda says, ugh, I'm not even going to entertain that one. Well, why not? I entertained it. Cold Creek Croft, there's still no resolution about losing this place soon, but I did, being logged in all work with reports and to the landlord, and I made an effort to buy it outright or lease it for sale, and she's thinking about it. Well, I hope that does work out, Cold Creek Croft, and please keep us posted on that, because I don't want you losing your place. I know how much work you put into that, and you deserve to be there. She's just getting silly-feeted and wants to make some money. But hopefully she'll come to her senses and not kick you out of there. Mr. P says the fat made them burn superheated. You're talking about, what are we talking about? I lost that thread, sorry. Dana says the German word Schwab means cockroach. Really? So Klaus Schwab is a cockroach? In my Czech language, therefore, Mr. Klaus Schwab is Mr. Klaus Cockroach. Translated to Czech. Okay, so Klaus is a word that we use in Santa Claus. And if I'm not mistaken, Klaus is a word that means, I've lost it. What does the word Klaus mean in German? I think it means leader, but I might be wrong about that. And Mr. P says, interesting, Dana. Well, believe it or not, names have meanings. Like, I'll give you a perfect example of what I mean by that. Bernie Madoff. Madoff with the money. See what I'm saying? Sometimes names indicate the person. Look at the news. A lot of times the news anchor's name will indicate where they are on the truth-o-meter for some reason. It seems to be that way. Not all the time, but many, many times names have significance. For example, Fauci, Anthony Fauci. His name Fauci means jaw in Greek. Jaw or mouthpiece. Interesting. Schwab. Cockroach. Dana says, I'm laughing out loud. Fab Daddy says, the only Schwab I know is Les Schwab tires. I know Schwab the deck. Cold Creek Crop says, hard to tell, but this remaining plot is only 26 acres, $1 million property. Ask me. But owner got miffed. You kidding? It's too far out. This property would if it was in Gallatin country value. I don't know what the value would be. And Danny says, don't forget the USS Liberty, right? Cold Creek Crop says, the whole damn thing, including buildings, has been appraised last year at barely $30,000. Some pickups cost more than that. It makes sense, I guess. That price, I might be able to do it. You might, if you work hard enough. She's trying to get $1 million out of it. That's undoable. It's also untenable, and she'll never sell it. Dana says the Khazars. Hang on, I lost it. Where'd it go? Oh, here we go. It says the Khazars are not the Jews. The Ashkenazis are not the Jews. They are imposters. Well, again, with names, ask a Nazi probably isn't the person I would recommend calling a Jew. Amy Elizabeth says, thanks. Mwah. Amy Elizabeth, mwah, back at you. Big red lips and all. Mr. P says, no biggie, but you missed what I said about Crusaders using pigs on fire to bring down walls. I did miss that, but I also knew about that. And Genghis Khan did something very similar where he would catapult horses and people over the walls at other people. Could you imagine looking up, seeing a horse with a rider on it coming at you from the sky? That'd be terrifying. That's why he won so many wars. Nobody would expect that. But yeah, I can see using pigs because pigs are mostly fat. And if you wrap them in a blanket, pig in a blanket, and catch it on fire, it'll burn like a candle. Meaning whenever it hits whatever it hits, it won't stop burning and it'll splatter. I can see that. I didn't see it though. I apologize. I must have missed something. It must not be here because, oh, nope, it must not be here. It goes from when you were a kid, a cockroach chased you to the next thing you said is the fat made them burn superheated. I don't see where you said pigs. That's why I didn't read it, because I didn't see it. Patty says, but what about Ezekiel describing what he did? Spacecraft? Was the ark not in the spacecraft? No. No, what Ezekiel saw was a vehicle that God uses to traverse the world. Or his angels. I don't know that it was God. It might have been an angel. But they do travel in vehicles. And that's what Ezekiel and several other people in the Bible saw. And it was trippy because they didn't have any words to describe it. Remember, the most technological thing they had ever seen was a horse and buggy. So if they saw something made out of metal or something that was technologically advanced, they wouldn't have words to describe what they were looking at. They'd have to compare it to something they knew, like bronze, highly polished bronze, which is what the whirlwind is called in the Bible. It's referred to as highly polished bronze. Anyway, a wheel within a wheel and that sort of thing. It was a craft. It was a vehicle of some sort. If you want to use the word spacecraft, that's fine, except for the fact it probably didn't come from space. because I don't think God is in space. I think he's in another dimension right here where we are. I think he might be that far away from your face and you'd never know it. Much like taking a piece of paper and drawing two little stick figures, right? And those little stick figures are people, but they're two-dimensional people. So their whole life is on this piece of paper and in that dimension, two-dimensional. Can't perceive what's out here in the world. They can't perceive of this microphone or me standing here looking at the piece of paper. All they can perceive is the piece of paper. Now, if I were to contact those people and reach down and say, hey, they wouldn't hear me because I'm not two-dimensional. Therefore, anything that I said would be unperceivable by them. But I can interact with their dimension by touching the paper with my finger. But if I touched the paper with my finger, all they would see is a line. Because that's what it would look like in two dimensions. One line of my finger, the front piece. They wouldn't even see how it rounded. They could walk all the way around it and all they would see was a line. And if I pushed my finger through the paper, then they would be able to see a circle. Because they'd get a cross cut of my finger, but that's all they could perceive. So they would go and say, hey, God contacted me. I saw him with my own eyes. Well, what does God look like, says the other stick figure. It looked like a circle. So they go and start the Church of the Circle. And a little while later, I go to another place on the paper and stick 3 fingers down through the paper. And then they go and start the Church of 3 Circles. Same God, different interaction. Do you understand what I'm saying here? So that's kind of how we perceive God as a people. Whatever interaction we have with God, we then build a belief system based on that because it's extraordinary, supernatural. And so not everybody's experience with God was the same. So when he interacted with someone, they knew what they knew. They didn't know what other people knew, but they knew what they knew. That's where religions come from. Amanda says, I didn't even see that comment, John. Maybe big YouTube don't want us talking about fiery pigs. Might be scared we might use one. Cole Quickcroft says, Googlia. Klaus is a name of a German or Dutch and the Scandinavian origin that meant victory of the people or victorious. It is shortened version of the name Nicholas. How is Klaus short for Nicholas? Wouldn't that be Colas? Well, Saint Nicholas, Santa Claus. I see what you're saying. Makes sense. Anyway, so you got a victorious cockroach, Klaus Schwab. Mr. P says, it was up. I don't know, maybe it got blocked. It could have. Pigs in a blanket are good. I knew you would go there. Cole Quickcroft says, clarify. She declined an offer of $200 more a month. As the $300 I'm charged covered all expenses. I like $300 a month. I couldn't afford a cheap apartment in the city, which would drive me mad. Right? Well, especially if you think you're going to get one for $300 a month. Prices have gone up. You might get one for $3,000 a month. Mr. P says, I screenshot it just now. Well, I believe you. I'm not doubting you. I just didn't see it. Amy Elizabeth says, pigs in a blanket. Meatloaf wrapped in cabbage leaves. Or hot dogs wrapped in biscuits. Now, I kind of like the first one you said there, but the pigs in the blankets that we're aware of are hot dogs wrapped in biscuits. But meatloaf wrapped in cabbage sounds pretty good. And I can get behind that sushi. They probably censored it, says Mr. P. Probably. Excuse me, says Cole Croft. What does God need with a starship? Likely an angel or an alien. Both the same thing, by the way. I would say probably so. Captain Kirk. Star Trek 5. Voyage home, right? Amanda says, little smokies and cheese wrapped in a croissant. Croissant. Patty says, gotcha. Dana says, Hebrew 13:2. Be not forgetful to entertain strangers, for thereby some have entertained angels unawares. Right, because angel literally means messenger of God. So if God talks to you to tell you to go tell somebody something else, you become an angel at that moment. But there are celestial beings that work for God or was created by God for certain duties that are different than us, in that their build is the same, but the material they're built out of is different. And what they're capable of is different than what we're capable of. And they do require vehicles to move around, I would imagine, as we do. Which is where that whole idea of spaceships comes from. I don't think anything's out there. I think everything in space is dead. I don't think there's even germs out there. I think it has a purpose, but I don't think it's for things to live. I think the buck stops here. Everything out there has a purpose to make things happen here. That's what I think. Mark Gibby, welcome. He says, good stuff. Just to watch and listen these days. Interesting stuff. Well, thank you, Mark. God bless you. By the way, Super Chat's available if anybody wants to show a little love. I do appreciate that. Amy Elizabeth says, oh, and by the way, like and subscribe and share and support and do all the things. Thank you. Amy says, the dark powers of Satan is exposing itself. The Olympic opening ceremony is just one example. Super Bowl halftime shows. It's in music and movies, TV. It's no wonder people act like they are possessed. Amy, you are absolutely right. The Bible tells us that it's going to end up being the world against God. That's the battle that's taking place right now. And to the people that are on the side of the world, I recommend you read a little further into the Bible, because it tells you what happens at the end of that. And it ain't going to work out. Amanda says, hey, Mark. Mark says, hello. And thanks for joining us tonight, Mark. Appreciate you. Amanda says, right, Amy. Patty says, I'm actually wondering more about the ark. Well, the ark is a container. It was built to house the 10 Commandments, the stones that God gave to Moses. And inside of the ark, it's a box with a lid on top. Inside the ark is the 10 Commandments, a bowl that held manna, and the rod of Aaron, or his walking stick that budded. Those 3 items are inside the Ark of the Covenant. The ark itself has no power. It is not a power plant. It is not a nuclear reactor or anything like that. It's a gold box with a lid on top that has 2 angels perched on the lid with 2 wings pointed at each other like this on the back, and on the sides 2 wings pointed out like this, and it forms a chair, right? And that chair is the mercy seat talked about in the Bible. That's where God's throne on earth is, on that box. God doesn't have a body like we do. I don't think he needs a footstool, although the earth is his footstool. And also that box has rods going through, one on each side, so that they can pick it up and carry it, because it's pretty heavy. It's made out of wood, shittim wood on the inside, and then covered with gold on the outside. And it's got 2 big statues on top. That's what the Ark of the Covenant is, and the reason that it has power is because God ordained it, not because it does anything. God is the power, not the Ark. Now, the Levitical order, the brothers or children or offspring of Levi, through Aaron, Moses' brother, being the high priest. He was kind of grafted into that family, being a Levite. They were charged with bearing the ark. So God said, you guys can carry it, but anybody else touches it and they'll die. That was God's power that made that possible, not the ark itself. Because other people that didn't believe in God touched it all the time and they didn't die. Only God's people died if they touched it. And they did so because that's disobedience to God. I hope that helps. Mr. P says, I really wonder. Uh-oh. Hang on. I really wonder how many times they censor stuff and people don't even know it. I guess they don't want people knowing the whole piggy process. Right, Mr. P? They probably do it quite a lot. I know they censor me. I know I had 279 views last night, and now it's like 186. But I'm watching, right now I got 130. So that's apropos. Andrew Langlois says, weren't religions created by people because Catholics called out for denominations? No. No, religions have been around for a long time. They just wanted to carve up the Christian religion so that they could stand apart and be the rulers of it. Because without denominations, you don't need a leader. That's what the Catholic Church is. They are just as abominable as any other religion that isn't of God. But religions have been around for many, 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 many moons. There are religions that we see evidence of that we don't even know what they were, like the two snakes eating the tail. Or the snake eating the tail, or the two snakes, the caduceus. I do know what that religion was built off of, but most people don't. Christine Marshall says, hi guys, what's up, Christine? Good to see you. Mr. P says, I just rented a place for $900. That was rock bottom that I could find. And where was that? Was that in a city, or was that an apartment, or is that in the country? Amanda says, hi, Christine. Cole Crickcroft says, I like how YouTube will send a comment removed warning or removed for violations, but are unable to tell you exactly what the beef is about. All it takes is an accusation. That's true. I've had whole videos taken down, and I can't even find a thing I did wrong. Matter of fact, if you are a purveyor of my videos and you go through, you'll notice that some are missing, and it's because YouTube deleted them forever because I said something about the election or something like that. So, and that was 2 years before they made a rule that said you couldn't say that. So at the time, I was not breaking the rules. So they can punish you posthumously, which means I have no idea whether anything I say is in the rules or not, because 3 years from now they might make a rule and now I'm violating it. That ain't fair. That ain't even right. Yet they're doing it. Christine Marshall says, I hope everybody's night is going well. I got to take my girl on a date, but the second half we went to the movies and it was sold out after waiting. Oh, I'm sorry for that. But maybe you got to spend some quality time with your girl. Anyway, have a good conversation. Mr. P says, yeah, Cole, it happened to me on a comment on a short here. Dana says, people love to create the almighty, all-powerful God in their mind and reduce him to an image of a man. I see a big problem with this. I do too. I do too. I have to keep reminding people because they always say, ain't man made in God's image? That's not what the Bible says. If you go back and read it, he says, let us make man in our image. That's plural, not singular. Who was he talking to? He was talking to you. And me. Mr. P says, they tie your hands. YouTube does. They give you no way to fight it. Right. I can appeal by clicking a box saying I appeal, but I can't make an argument, and I can't talk to anybody, and I can't reason with anybody or question anybody. I just have to accept whatever decision they send to me, which usually is agreeing with their first decision. it's not a fair process, and it is not free speech, but they are a private company, and that's what allows them to get away with it, thanks to whatever nonsense they passed in protecting these people. I think it's called Title IX, but I might have that confused with something else. Cold Creek Cross says, Mr. P, believe me, I drove 400 miles to see it, but never asked the rental price. I thought it was a ruse. But there are extra costs and about $500 worth of work per day, but worth every penny. Christine says, amen. Cold Creek Cross says, $500 worth of work per month. I mean, I'm not that inspired. Yeah, calm down there, wild man. Mr. P says, I got you, Cole. Race Sandu, you killed God, Nietzsche. Nope, I did not kill God, Nietzsche. And Nietzsche was a moron in some areas and brilliant in other areas. But I did not kill God. But thank you, Reyes. Good to see you. Cold Creek Cross says, according to the Bible, the Ark of the Covenant was used as an unconventional weapon in battle by the ancient Israelites. Incorrect. The Ark was considered a physical manifestation of God's presence and power. Also incorrect. Let me correct you. The Ark of the Covenant was carried at the head of the army. You know how you got like the people that carry the flags and the guy that beats on the drum? Well, the Ark of the Covenant was in front of all those people. It went first. And the army would go back about 300 yards or so and follow it. They kept it in sight, but it was way up in front of them. And when they went into battle like that, God would fight that battle for them and they would win every time. The Ark itself has no power. It is not a device. God literally sat on the Ark of the Covenant. So he was literally in the battle, going first into the battle. And then he would win the war. So the Israelites just had to show up. So it wasn't considered the manifestation of God. It was the manifestation of God because he was literally on the seat going into battle. And it wasn't the ark that did anything. It was God. So the ark itself is not a weapon. It is just a box. But it is a symbol, and it is the throne of God. So literally what he was telling them to do was carry me into battle, and I'll fight your battles for you, and you just got to show up and take the spoil. Pretty much. Hope that helps. Cold Creek Cross says, and some say that activating it... And some say that activating it would release God's wrath in the form of a blinding light and fire. The ark was also said to have the power to part the sea and to destroy anyone who stood in its way. I don't know where you got that from, Cold Creek Croft, but that's not in the Bible. And I've read it a couple times. It's not in there. The ark could not do any of those things. The ark is just a box. God could do all of those things, and did do, but not from the ark. But I will tell you this. If you're not a Levite and you touch the Ark of the Covenant, you will die. If you are related to one of the 12 tribes. If I'm not mistaken, the people that worship Molech had it for a while in their temple. And God didn't like that at all. And he scared the bejesus out of them by knocking the statues over every day and writing on the wall with his finger. But they touched it and didn't die. They had to ship it around, so they did touch it. But if you're of the 12 tribes, the ones who the ark was given to, nobody's allowed to touch it except for the Levites. That's what I gathered. It doesn't explicitly say that in the Bible. That's what I read it as. Mr. P says, God bless y'all. I'm whooped. I gotta get to sleep. Rest well. Don't forget Bible study tomorrow at 8 p.m., right? Here on Untethered Live. Thank you, Mr. P, and God bless you and rest well. And thank you for being with us tonight. Colt Creekcroft says, yes, I just looked that up as I kept hearing that the ark was sought mostly as its use as a weapon. Well, yeah, some people do think that, but the Bible does not say that. It's not right. They do think that. They also think that other artifacts have power too, like the stone of Scone, or the spear that pierced Christ's side, or the nails on the cross. None of that stuff has any value. The Holy Grail, it's just a cup, if it even exists anymore. Probably don't. But yeah, they're especially the Nazis were looking for those things. I think they managed to actually get their hands on one artifact. It was the Spear of Destiny, but I think they were disappointed that it didn't cause them to win a bunch of wars. Cold Creek Croft says, safe travels, Mr. Pete. And Amanda says, good night, John. And Mark says, the First Amendment is being destroyed. Well, yeah. All the amendments are being destroyed. They're trying to do away with the Constitution as hard as they can go, Mark. That's why you have to vote Trump. Andrew Langlois says, they don't have any reason to ban videos. I just think that YouTube are a bunch of losers that don't have anything to do. You might be right there, Andrew, but they have done it. I don't think I've said anything too outrageous or even too conspiratorial, even when I was talking about the flat earth. I even caveated that with a little science. So I noticed they didn't remove any of those videos, but you let me talk about the 2020 election and it's gone. Mark Gibby says, and then they will come for all our rights. Yes, they will. Cold Creek Croft says, Reyes Sandu, Nietzsche's point was that God would be killed when there is no good reason to believe God exists. And this is definitely not that place. Right. Andrew says, but watch us like TVs, like we're the Truman Show. That's kind of morbid. But yeah, I think they do. I mean, loser like a general statement. I hear you. Amy Elizabeth says, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. There you go. Andrew says, when Moses struck the ground to split the Dead Sea, that only really happened because the grounds were unsettled by the tornado that was behind them. I don't know where you got that, but that's two different stories. When he split the Red Sea, he held his arm up in the air, hold his staff up in the air, and as long as his arm was up in the air, the Red Sea stayed open. He hit the ground to bring water from the rock to feed all of the Israelites. And God told him to speak to the rock in the name of God and say, God commands you to bring forth water. And Moses hit the rock 3 times with his staff because he was mad. And he was like, how many times must I have to do this to feed all of you? When are you going to, that is not what God told him to do, which is the sin that caused him to not be able to go into the promised land. Because in that moment of doubt, when everybody was questioning God, Moses took it upon himself to make them think he was giving them water from the rock, not God. So he took value away from the voice of God, since he was the interpreter, and he put it upon himself, which was the sin. That's taking the Lord's name in vain, saying that he said something to you that he did not say, which is why he didn't get to go to the promised land. I hope that helps. Andrew says he knew that it was time and he listened to the Lord. Also true. Cold Creek Croft says, the reference I used on the ark was from Haaretz, an Israel news organization, so maybe they read another Bible. I don't know. I'm not arguing, but always heard the weapon thing without any context. Well, I don't know what's in the Jewish writings either, the Torah and all the other books. They have a lot of books that they read. So there's Jewish traditions and there's ideas in there that I'm not familiar with because I don't teach that religion. So you may very well be right that they think that. But according to my Bible, it was just a box that God had built so that he could have a reason to have a place to sit when he came to the temple, and so that they could contain the 10 Commandments. Amy says, can you talk about the red heifers? Sure. What do you want to know? Are you talking specifically about, is that a smoker's cough? Robert McDonald, no. That is I have laryngitis and all the shit in my chest is breaking up cough. Amanda says, no, Robert. He has laryngitis. See? I told you. Amy says, when the red heifers return to Israel. Oh, they're already in Israel. They have them now. So, about 10 years ago, they started with a program in Texas to make red heifers, to breed red heifers. A red heifer is a perfectly red calf that has no other colors on it, no blemishes anywhere. It's a perfect, specific breed of cattle that they bred in Texas. And then they shipped the animals over to Israel to breed them there. And for a couple of times it didn't work. They were not spotless. They had problems. But they have since collected quite a few red heifers that are perfect. And they are now currently about 3 years old. And they have currently finished building the platform. What's the word I'm looking for? The altar. They finished building the altar in Israel to do the sacrifices on, which is the altar of the temple, which will next be built as soon as they figure out where they're going to build it. And so that's what is going on over there right now. That's what started on January 6th. Not January 6th. What day was it when they attacked? Was it 6th? Anyway, that's what started that. They did not want Israel to begin sacrificing, and they were threatening to do so. October 7th. Thank you, Amy Elizabeth. So that's what started that whole battle. Now, they've since went on to other things, and now it's about land and all of that stuff, but that's the initial reason that started. They've been fighting over this for 2,000 years, this thing they're fighting about, but what actually kicked it off was the threat that they were going to begin the sacrifice again, which they did not do, but they were talking about it. And they do have everything to start sacrificing now. Why do they want them not to sacrifice? Because if they begin sacrificing, the other side fears that the Lord will then begin to protect them, which means everybody else dies. I don't know if they actually believe that'll happen, but they believe that the Israelites believe it, which will empower them to be more vicious and all of that stuff, which is why they went to war. Now, have they done any sacrificing yet? Not to my knowledge, but they have everything in place to begin sacrificing. So, yes. And that's what I know about the red heifer, except for if you go back and read the book of Nehemiah, it will give you some more information about the red heifer. The book of Nehemiah. Andrew says, yes. Cold Creek Cross says, we have a red heifer here. Red heifers are not as rare as assumed, but to qualify, they have to have not born calves, be a certain age, and never wore yoke, plus Hebrew red. Right. No, there's red cows everywhere, but they can have never been yoked. They have to be babies. They have to be male, if I'm not mistaken. They have to be babies, and they have to be perfect. That's the big difference. They can't have one black hair on them. They have to be perfectly red heifers. Not one spot or blemish, which is harder than it looks. Hebrew red is linked to earth, so more of a ruddy brownish red, right? Though how they gauge that, I don't know. Well, they gauge it by it being perfect, meaning no black hairs, no white hairs, perfect in that color. No dark spots, no darker red on one side than the other, or anything like that. It has to be perfectly uniform. The best of the best. Okay, so heifer means female. I don't know why I said that. So you're right, Amy Elizabeth. Thank you. Fab Daddy says, I dated a red heifer once. At least that's what I called her. You go, boy. Amanda says, heifer is female, isn't it? Yes. I just talking off the top of my head. I just said the wrong thing. That's all. I panicked. I said the wrong thing. Cole Crickcroft says, heifers by definition are only female cows that have yet to bear a calf. Hey, I'm picking up some things out here. I asked Buckshot. That's a good thing to know somebody named Buckshot. Amanda says, geez, Fab. King Lock says, did you hear about the Olympics mocking Jesus? I did, King Lock, and welcome to the show. And I think it's a travesty, and I really think they ought to be punished for that. Because that is blasphemy, and according to what I read, blasphemy is still illegal. This one's for you, Richard. Mark says, 80 hashtag of meat at McDonald's is the black and white milk cow that is used up. I hear you. Or pounds. 80 pounds of meat. Hey. Does that mean that the Pound Me Too movement was unsuccessful? Amy says, Mark, McDonald meat is mostly soy, I believe, and earthworms. What? Did he say earthworms? Amy says, demonic. Yep. Holsteins, I think, says Mark. Andrew says, story of Apollo and Odyssey. He made them immortal. The saying of the mooing cow. Interesting. I don't think this has anything to do with red heifers, though. But I hear you. Cold Creek Cross says, King Lock, this is your channel. Y'all go show King Lock some love. 80%, my bad. Sorry. Mark. Dana says, the Jews rejected the real living sacrifice, which is the Lord Jesus Christ. They are looking for a cow, a heifer, as their savior. Incredible blasphemers. Well, they think that the sacrifice of an animal covers the sin with the blood of that animal. The scapegoat is the idea that they get that from. And at one time, that may have been the case because God allowed men to do some pretty weird things at times. It was their idea, not God's. But when Jesus died, he became that sacrifice, and they should honor that because he did. And they are saved because of it, whether they know it or not. Fab Daddy says, I told my son, brown cows give chocolate milk. Children are wonderful, gullible sponges, and they know my cousin, apparently. Amanda says, LOL, Fab Daddy. Jake told April that too, and she believed it for years. Very true. Boah, says Fab Daddy. Jacob Paris, welcome to the show. He says, what's up? How goes it? It's fantastic, man. How about yourself? What do you think of the drag queens mocking Jesus at the apostles and the apostles at the Olympic ceremony? I think it's blasphemy. And I think they're right now the power's out in Paris. Go figure. I think God's probably going to be upset about that, I would imagine. Cold Creek Cross says, Mark, Holsteins are primarily dairy cattle, but are definitely raised for beef, if not. Buckshot has a brown and white Swedish breed, plus a vanity herd of longhorns. I like longhorns. Jacob Paris says, yep. I think so too, buddy. I think they are in trouble. I don't think God takes kindly to blasphemy, but the Bible has always told us that it will end up being a battle between the world and God. This is true. They should probably read the rest of the book. Patty says, Jake, you rock. Good night, and I had a great time in the chat with everyone. I'll see everyone on the flip-flop. Patty, God bless you. You rock too, and thank you for being here, and I'm getting ready to go to bed myself. Amanda says, good night, Patty, and Jacob says, amen. Fab Daddy says, good night, Patty. All right. won't you guys do me a favor and hit that subscribe button and press the bell icon so you get notifications of when I'm going to be online. Smash that like button. It's right in front of you. It's free. It's effortless. It really does help the channel with the algorithms, and it helps us get recommended to other people. So won't you do that, please? Share this video with somebody you love. Better yet, share it with somebody you don't love. Bring them into the family. Make them part of the fold. Be part of their solutions, not part of their problems. Leave a comment down below and let me know what you're thinking about. Question me, curse me, bless me, challenge me, confront me, conform with me, drink my Kool-Aid. Make your own Kool-Aid. As long as you're thinking critical, that's what I want. Critical thought coming from that brain of yours. And hey, if you dig what you hear tonight and you love the idea of what I'm trying to build, and you'd like to help out, well, you can join the show by hitting the join button. Come join us. Help us build this thing. Or you can subscribe and share and do all that stuff. You can super chat. There's a super chat box. Do that. But if you want to help out in a substantial way, you can go to paypal.me/jakejohnsonband, or if you're a CashApp user, $JakeJohnsonBand. Every little bit helps. It is a win-win. It's a blessing for me. But it's a blessing for you too, because God notices these things. Now, I will always do everything in my power to be worthy of that sponsorship, because I am brought to you by viewers just like you. You are the reason I can keep going. So I appreciate everything you do, and I will continue to give you everything I've got. So, with that, press the wrong button because I'm crazy like a fox. With that, I will do everything in my power to answer all of your questions and comments and then go to bed. Dana says, the hideous androgynous display of France was a display of 100% reprobate. Yes. Reprobates, the lot of them. Amanda says, tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Bible study right here. Untethered Live. Bible study, 8 o'clock. Come on, hang out with us. Amy says, shared to Wimkin. I don't know who Wimkin is, but thank you. Mark Gibby says, be blessed and happy Sunday. Good night, Mark Gibby. God bless you and thank you for being here. Amanda says, night, Mark. Cold Creek Croft says, good job, Jake. Cheers, chat. Time for spider hunt. Listen for schoolgirl shrieks in southeast Montana. That'll be me, she says. Good gracious, don't get bit, man. And Dana says, heart back at you, Dana. Thank you for being here. I love everything you bring to the table. You mean a lot. Thank you for that. Soph, you too. Amanda says, good night, Cold Creek Croft. Get some videos. And heart Dana. And Dana says, heart Amanda. Soph Allen says, I'm in bed because I'm still sick. Clearly, you don't have to keep telling us that. We understand. But I hope you feel better. Take an aspirin. Take some vitamins. Drink some water. Go outside and breathe some fresh air. It'll make you feel better. Anyway, Cold Creek Croft says, overheard at a nearby bunkhouse. The hell? Were those gunshots? A new guy. Figures. How am I feeling? Fantastic. I feel great from my head down to my shoes. And I like eggs. But anyway, it is that time. So, out of here. I love you guys. Thank you so much for being here. God bless each and every one of you. Come see me tomorrow night for some Bible study. I'll be here. You be here too. Let's see if we can't make something happen. Cold Creek Croft says, Buckshot actually has stopped asking me WTF I'm doing when meeting in the fields or on the road. Yeah, that is kind of weird. But I'm glad he understands that you're you now. Soph says that's good to hear. And Amanda says, good night, I'll see you tomorrow. All right. Go out into the world and be nice to somebody. Try that. I promise you it'll change your life. While you're out there being nice to somebody, remember that you are alive and you have the freedom to move about. So use that effort to make somebody's life improve. And if you do that, your life will improve by proxy. That's how it works. We live in a reciprocal universe. Ask, and ye shall be answered. Knock, and it shall be opened. Give, and ye shall receive. That's how it works. So try it. I promise you it'll work out. Amy says, good night. Cole Crickcroft says, hit that like button on the way out, folks. Thank you so much for being here. God bless you, and thanks for watching.